obviously he did some disappointing. We lost the game on Saturday, obviously, but we knew, obviously what we were going against. But, you know, the guys made some plays offensively. Jared Neal, made some plays. The wide receivers made some plays. We protected. We didn't give up a sack. So, that was good. Proud of that. They knocked us off the ball, made some big plays. So, disappointed that. Really concerned about our special teams. We've got to be able to, these last 3 games, we've got to improve field position. Our kickoff return unit's got to get better. We got, Jackson Reddick's had a good, has been good up to these last 2 games, and we got to get his confidence back to be able to flip the field for us in our punt game. But those are things you can look at the stats and everybody's able to see that. But anyway, guys competed. We'll come home today. Got a huge challenge this week. I mean, EKU, they had a tough one this week against Jacksonville State. We all know how good Jacksonville State, but that's the first thing I was doing is you look at these statistics. I mean, and EKU has played 2, FBS schools as well, Kentucky and North Carolina State, and after those 2 games, they're still, 31 points a game. They're still in their rush defense after those 2 games. They're still 106 yards a game. So, Dean does a great job with that, with that program. It's the same defense last year that got after us, and they've added, 2 transfers and the rush in, the Ohio State kid. He's certainly, you better know where he is each time. So we'll go back to work tonight, and put us a plan together and go on the road again for a 2nd straight week.
Jason, what was your reaction to seeing that Eastern Kentucky score against Jacksonville State? What do you think went down?
Yeah, you watch the tape. Jacksonville State's defense played out, outstanding. EKU's defense didn't, competed hard. It's just, the fields were flipped so much, and just one of those games that just couldn't get anything going offensively. But, big crowd, Jacksonville State, 21,000 people, and so, kind of an uphill battle when it came to that. But, it surprised me a little bit, especially not that Jacksonville won, but the final score. But, I'm sure EKU will be back, refocused this week, and knowing, they got to keep pace just like we have to.
Obviously Jacksonville State does have a lot of, they're pretty tough, that front 7, but
Mm-hmm.
do you see anything that maybe trying to take advantage of any weaknesses with EKU?
There's not a whole lot of weaknesses from the standpoint, when you take an SEC team into overtime and actually have the lead with 10 points, with 10-point lead there in the last, I think, 4 minutes or something. They're and matter of fact, I just got through watching that game, and that's pretty impressive how they played the University of Kentucky. So, no, there's not anything that you exploit. If you go back and look at us over the years, when we lose a turnover margin to EKU, we don't give ourselves a chance. Last year we had 8 penalties. I think we gave up 4 sacks, and we turned the ball over 3 or 4 times. Against them, that's not going to be good enough. So, those are things. If you look at the turnover margin and penalties and turnover, that'll be probably the deciding factor going into this game, and concerning because we haven't been getting any turnovers. I think we've got any in 2 weeks in a row. I believe we got any against Murray. We didn't get any this past week. Turned the ball over 3 times against Arkansas. Turned over once, I believe, against Murray. So if you're not getting them, it's going to catch up to you. You may be 4-1 in the league and scoring some points, but to beat good teams, especially on the road, you got to win those tails.
We've kind of talked about this before as far as turnovers. I mean, do you change the way you defend it all, take some more chances as far as trying to force turnovers?
That's something we've got to consider. As I was telling the staff today, yes, do they usually come in bunches? Yes, they do, but you can't just ignore it. I mean, when we've got the fewest in the league, you don't ignore it. You have to continue to talk about it and continue to practice it and get it out. I won't say so much that you got to take, any more chances, not necessarily, but, are we tackling the ball correctly, or are we getting our hands up and getting some deflections? You don't get a whole lot of interceptions in man coverage, or, you just don't. You got to be in certain type of zones. So are we rerouting guys, or are we making quarterbacks throw it over the top of our linebackers? And which creates a high throw. Maybe the safety gets a pick. The answer to all those questions is no, we're not. And so we've got to do a better job on that. Let's get some turnovers on special teams. Let's kick the ball high enough to we get down there and cover it, and get the ball out. There's a multitude of ways to get them. And then if you're not going to get them, you better not give them to them.
Offensively, what stands out to you most about this EKU team as far as the biggest challenge in stopping their offense?
The dual threat quarterback. I mean, he can run, he can throw. The big wide out. The multiple backs. Last year I was looking at the stats. I mean, we didn't stop run or pass last year against them. They almost had 600 yards. You look at and see what Jacksonville State did. I mean, can we emulate that? I'm not quite sure that we can. So, you need to keep this game in the high 20s. You need to keep this game in the high 20s. For us to be successful, I think. After looking at it. But yeah, anytime that quarterback can, you bring pressure and he gets out, and he gets out of the pocket, he can turn that into a big gain. They're good enough to where you overload things in the perimeter. They can still mash you, hand the ball off, and eat up 6-7 yards at a clip. So they create a lot of problems.
Coach, what areas do you think you caused them the most problems?
Good question. I mean, statistically, you look at us and you say, well, but I don't know if I look at us like that. We're certainly quarterback driven. Okay, we're certainly quarterback driven. You got some wide receivers now that are making runs after the catch. We're not just catching the ball and going down. We're actually able to throw the ball underneath, and Caden Weathers did a great job of running after the catch this past week. But I feel pretty confident in this going into this game. If we don't run the ball for 150 yards, I think it'd be very difficult for us to keep up because of their ability to be able to that gives you some resemblance of balance. Okay. So if you're able to get to that 150-yard mark, then they're not able to just widen those ends and rush up the field. We don't need to, we don't need to throw the ball 50 times in this game. That's just not how we're built. That's how the game went this past week. But then again, you just have to be built a certain way to throw the ball 50 times, and we're not to win the game. Okay, we can throw it 50 times. Anybody can go out there and call some plays, but in order for us to have resemblance of an offense, to where there's run, where there's play action, where there's a lot of things for you to defend, we've got to have some resemblance of balance this week. And I would tell you, probably 150 yards is the mark you got to get to. I hope so. He's on the injury report. I don't think he'll practice much today, but hopefully he's a week better. But those other backs stepped up. Najee Ray made some plays. It was good to see Jamie Bowe make some plays, and Trent's been pretty solid all year. So I think we'll have 3 at least as we go into into this week. And you got 2 wideouts back this past week. You got Kyle Carrick back. You got Ben Axline back, even though he had a cast on his hand. He still got a touchdown pass. So, the guy got a touchdown last year against an SEC school and won this year. So, he's obviously a solid player. We need him back. He helps our offense.
I mean, it may be obvious, but how much does it help having those extra, couple guys at the receiver?
No, it's huge. I mean, Rod Wright's helmet had a malfunction during, his chin strap broke after he made a play. And so now you're able to put, it's not just, oh, hey, let's run the ball to get Rod's helmet fixed because you've been playing with 3 wide receivers, okay? I mean, seriously, that's what we've been doing for the past 4 weeks. No, it was, whatever the down and distance dictated and what we wanted to do, get another quality receiver. It affects how you practice. It really does. Instead of just walking around and shortening things up because the 3 wide receivers can only go so hard for so long, right? Now you're able to actually have a practice, and it's going to help our defense out because now they get some scout team guys back to give them a good look as well. So it's many reasons why it's good to have those healthy bodies back.
Coach, is this a have-to win?
I mean, they all are, kind of. They all are. Mathematically, maybe not, but to win the conference, it certainly is. I mean, you got a whole serve. You're already a game behind Jacksonville State, and then you got to hope for some help. But you sit there and look at it, and spend a few minutes on the math of it. Of 7-1, 6-2. Those kind of scenarios. But it makes next week a lot more fun. If somehow you can figure out a way this week for sure.
I know it's a lot of different guys, obviously, but anything you can take from that, any difference that makes?
There's some guys on this team that were part of that. Okay, so I mean, heck, we've only been there once in the history of our program, and twice total. Okay, and I know I talk about that every year over a 10-year period, but there's a reason that program has got, it's got great tradition. Always got good players and always coached real well. So, I can't remember, what was that, 4 years ago or 3 years ago? 13. Okay, so we had some guys that certainly that played in that game, and so I don't know, maybe we can draw some of those experiences.
Coach, on going back to Arkansas game, on OVC call-in this week, you said compared to the Ole Miss game, you really wanted to represent the conference well in this game.
Right.
As someone who watched it, I thought you did. Do you feel that way?
Well, appreciate that. Offensively we did. You look at those numbers. Now you're fixing to play a team, like I said, that had the lead with up by 10, and you've lost to a team that went overtime with another. So they certainly represented it. But yeah, we were able to move the ball around and at least compete offensively. But defensively, it wasn't very good.